Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 8 things that you're probably doing that's lowering your testosterone. I've divided this video into 8 sections. 4 are going to be lifestyle changes, and 4 are going to be products or consumables that you're probably using on an often enough basis to lower your testosterone levels. I do want to say as a side note that both men and women will benefit from being mindful of these lifestyle and product/consumables. Although this video is focused more on testosterone, the male hormone testosterone, these things do affect your endocrine system in a very negative way. Real quick, I do want to go over what the endocrine system actually is. I think it's important to understand the rest of this video. The endocrine system is a network of glands and organs that coordinate metabolism, energy level, reproduction, growth and development, response to injury, and even your stress and your mood. So we can see how having a knowledge of some of these things we're going to be talking about in this video will not only raise your testosterone, but positively impact your body, whether you're male or female. So first up on the list is probably not going to be a surprise to some people. Sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things you can do to increase your testosterone naturally, but also if you don't get enough of it, it will sharply decrease your testosterone. For example, there was a study done where over the course of a week, adult men were given 4 to 5 hours of sleep. What that caused was a drop of testosterone between 10 and 15%. Also, sleep is known to affect the hormones ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is a hunger hormone, so it makes you feel hungry, and leptin is a satiating hormone, which makes you feel full after you eat. So if your ghrelin and leptin are out of whack, you're going to be more hungry more often throughout the day, and it's going to be harder and harder to get full. Also, lack of sleep has been shown to make you crave more fats and sugars. So that also segues nice into the next lifestyle change you can make, which is excess body fat. So how do you get a good night's sleep? Well, there's a couple suggestions I have based on some research. It's very important to get some sunlight early morning or early in your day because it starts kind of a hormone cycle in your body, and basically you want these hormones activated at certain times of day. So early in the day, get some sunlight, and then by the end of the day, your body starts winding down naturally as far as hormones are concerned, and by the time it's bedtime, you should be more tired. Another suggestion I have is to limit your caffeine after 12 p.m. What caffeine does in your body is it keeps your brain from entering deeper stages of sleep, the recuperative sleep, and the sleep that's going to cause the increases in your testosterone. Also, when it is time to go to bed, make sure your room is nice and dark and turn your AC down a little bit if you can. This is because it's actually easier for your brain and body to relax in a cool, dark place. A BMI over 30 is considered obese, and for that we're going to be basing the study on testosterone. There is a little baseline knowledge I think you need to know though. So the male hormone androgen or testosterone gets converted through estrogen through an enzyme known as aromatase. So aromatase is going to be overly produced if you have excess fat tissue, so it's very important to keep your body fat percentage low, or at least under that BMI 30. So some symptoms of having excess body fat is going to be more breast tissue as a male. It's going to be increased instances of depression and anxiety, and it's also going to lower your libido. I did find that there are aromatase inhibitors, which basically suppresses aromatase. So even if you do have excess body fat, there are products that exist that will help blunt the response of converting that testosterone to estrogen. But overall, I believe the best option would just be to lose that excess body fat and keep your body fat percentage in that healthy BMI range. Up next, we have everybody's favorite recreational drink, alcohol. So in the male body, what alcohol does is in the range of 7 to 9 drinks, it causes a sharp decline of 45% in testosterone. It's also important to note that your body treats alcohol the same as it would a poison. So what that means is it sends highest importance to the alcohol being processed in your liver, and everything that you eat or everything that you ate that is currently being digested puts on hold so it can process this alcohol. And what that does is the sugars and fats that you consumed, it gets sent straight into storage, which as we talked about earlier will contribute to more body fat, causing a decrease in testosterone just from the excess body fat, on top of the decrease in testosterone caused by the alcohol itself. When I was doing research on the effect of alcohol and testosterone, I actually found out that women's testosterone actually increases by 5 times in the 7 to 9 drink range. And the reason this is believed is because alcohol directly affects the testosterone production in the testes. So if you don't have that to worry about, it's actually a positive increase. And I will say that alcohol negatively impacts my workouts the next day. As we know, more muscle contributes to higher growth hormone and higher testosterone production. So if it's affecting your long-term testosterone production, it's definitely something you need to be mindful of. Also, while we're talking about training, alcohol has been known to limit your protein synthesis. Whenever you eat protein and whenever you break down your muscles during training, if you have alcohol in your system or the effects of alcohol, it'll slow down protein synthesis, which will make it harder to build muscle. Fluoride can be found in things such as tap water, toothpaste, and other dental hygiene products. There have been numerous studies coming from all around the world on fluoride's effect on both testosterone, testicular function, and sexual development. The original reason that fluoride was put into the tap water supply is to prevent cavities, but studies have shown that cavity rates have plummeted in both fluorinated and unfluorinated countries, showing weak to no connection with fluorinated water supplies. Research from China shows that fluoride at just 3 milligrams per liter decreases testosterone by 40% in young men. Also, it's noted in the study that it brings youth levels of testosterone comparable to that of the oldest group tested, which is 60-year-old men. So just by consuming fluorinated water, you could be decreasing your testosterone almost by 50% or half. Also, a study from Mexico shows that fluorinated water postponed sexual development and even puberty in boys. As far as my recommendations for trying to limit or avoid fluorinated water, there's really only 2 ways I could find. The first was reverse osmosis water, which you can get a home setup for, and another option you have is something called vapor distilled water. As far as the fluoride that you use, usually when you brush your teeth, it's probably not going to have that big of an effect on your testosterone because it's such a small amount and you typically spit it out, or I hope you're spitting out your toothpaste. If you're not, definitely get into that habit. Next up on the list, we have fats, or more specifically, your dietary intake of fats. There was a study done on the effects of dietary intake of fat and testosterone levels. In this study, men were put on a 20% low-fat diet and they had significantly lower testosterone levels than that of men between a 30 and 40% fat diet. Of course, these men were getting fats from good sources, but the men that were getting the good sources of fats in the 30 to 40% range had 20% higher testosterone. To keep it simple, I would say just get your fats from whole sources. I'd say avocados, coconut oils, certain vegetable oils. Nut oils are really good sources of fats, and try to stay away from the fats that come from processed foods such as McDonald's hamburgers. That's not going to give your body the right type of fat that it needs. So this next item on the list actually really surprised me because I thought I was doing something really good, and that is sunblock. Anything you put on your skin is probably going to be absorbed into your bloodstream. And unfortunately, that includes some of the chemicals and ingredients in most sunblocks and sunscreens. Now, these things I'm going to be talking about are found mainly in sunblocks and sunscreens, but can be found in other skincare products such as lotions. So I'd recommend making a list of some of these words, and so you can do your own research on some of the products you might be using in your day-to-day life. The first one on the list is oxybenzone, or BP3. Another ingredient is octinoxate. The next one is homosalate, octisalate, octosirylene, and avobenzone. So all these have research behind them showing they affect your endocrine system and in hand affect your testosterone levels in a negative way. Another ingredient that's not necessarily toxic to your testosterone levels that we know of, but is also bad in another way that's found in a lot of sunscreens and sunblock is known as zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Although it doesn't directly affect your testosterone, I did want to mention it just so you know and can look out for it. And also up to 70% of ingredients in sunscreen and sunblock is unresearched. But of the ones that are researched, most of them have negative effects on your endocrine system and your testosterone levels. Next on the list, as far as lifestyle changes you can be making, is getting more sunlight. And the reason that is because vitamin D is so important to your endocrine system and your testosterone levels. There was a study done that men were giving 3,000 IUs of vitamin D daily for a year, and they had 25% more testosterone than those of men that did not get adequate levels, which unfortunately most men are not getting adequate levels of vitamin D, either dietary or from sunlight. Although you can get vitamin D with dietary intake, I do recommend getting it mainly through sunlight. The reason why is because of this study where men were giving UV light directly to their chest for 5 days. They're exposed to UV light and their testosterone levels rose by 125%. Also, in a separate study, they exposed men's genitals to sunlight, which increased their testosterone by 200%. Now, I don't recommend running butt naked in the street or anything, but if you have a private patio where other people can't see, go for it. To prevent some of the things that sunblock actually does help with, like skin cancer, melanoma, I do recommend you limit your sun intake. So don't stand in direct sunlight for all day, especially if you're Caucasian. You're a little bit more prone to certain skin cancers, so just be careful of that. But definitely try to get your recommended daily amount, because most men are not getting their daily recommended amount of sunlight. Now, unfortunately, with the last thing on the list, it's very hard to avoid in the modern day world. It's going to be something you're going to try to limit limit as much as possible, or at least know what items contain this, and that's going to be plastics. So plastics, specifically the chemicals that are leached from plastic known as BPS and BPA, are known endocrine disruptors. And there's studies out there that show that it decreases the quality and quantity of your sperm by up to 50%. It can cause birth defects, brain issues, sexual development issues. And the reason why this happens is because most plastics have estrogen mimicking chemicals. So when they get into your body, they mimic estrogen, which blocks your testosterone and can artificially raise your estrogen levels. And like I said earlier, plastics aren't something you can really avoid. Even your vegetables have been shown to have tiny bits of plastic in them. But one thing you can do is like what I mentioned earlier with the fluoride water, is use vapor distilled or reverse osmosis water. Those are two options that will decrease the amount of plastic. I don't want to say eliminate because I'm not sure. The cans you buy also have plastic lining. They used to not, but nowadays they put plastic lining in them just to keep them preserved better. Tomato cans especially, because they're highly acidic, it's going to help leach out that BPA and BPS. If you can grow your own vegetables or buy them from a farmer's market, if that's an option, I recommend doing that. Anything that's wrapped in plastic, especially if left in a car, so say you drink water in a water bottle and you leave it in your car, the sunlight's going to break down that plastic even faster and leach more of that BPA, BPS chemical. And also one more thing we could do as a collective is just to limit the products we buy that contain plastic water bottles, grocery bags. We can bring our own cloth grocery bags, and try to discourage the use and manufacture of plastics that way, because it is affecting not just men but women's endocrine system as well. More so than just increasing your testosterone by limiting plastic, we also need to think of the overall effect on your health and everybody's health. I hope you were able to learn something and some effective ways to maybe change your lifestyle or habits you can adopt, products you can limit using that will help increase your testosterone. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list. I couldn't possibly list everything, but these are some of the main things that surprised me and some of the things that I believe people use in their daily life. And of course, a lot of these lifestyle changes will affect more than just your testosterone, so your overall health in general. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm kind of testing out my new mic here, so if there's any audio issues, I'll try to get that straightened out for the next video. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments, please. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.